Steve, let's talk about it. Number 1 wide receiver, Dakorien Moore of Duncanville High School, decommitted from LSU on Thursday. That was the big news, even carried through the weekend. Moore's decommitment is by far the biggest so far in the 2025 cycle, but certainly won't be the last decommitment. In this video, we're going to break down the finalists and get Steve Wiltfong's opinion on who now leads for Moore. All right, so first, Steve, were you surprised by the decision of Moore to part ways with LSU?
No, I wasn't surprised by it. I think, he's obviously been keeping Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas very warm. I think the timing of the decommitment surprised some people in Baton Rouge because I think there was some good dialogue with Coach Cortez Hankton and the Tiger staff, even leading up to that decommitment. And then LSU not being on the official visit list, I think that also has surprised some. But I'll say this, Texas is obviously trending on the on-3 RPM. I've not put in that pick yet. Obviously proximity to home, Coach Sark's offense, the way he schemes open wide receivers, the relationships that Dakorien and his family has with Texas players and families of the Longhorns players has put them in really strong position. But I also talked to a source this morning with knowledge of the recruitment that thinks that Ohio State and Oregon could even still be ahead of Texas despite saying all of that. And so I think this recruitment still got a lot of runway. He's still working through his process, trying to figure out what he wants to do. And he has those official visits locked in for Ohio State the first weekend in June, May 31st it begins, and then Texas June 14th and Oregon June 21. This will be his third trip to Ohio State this year. Brian Hartline and his development of 5-star receivers is one thing that stands out. Being around the Ohio State receivers when he visited for a spring practice, those were like-minded individuals that he thought he could relate to and like the way that they got after it on the practice field. His second visit, his mom, Marjan, pointed towards the way that Coach Ryan Day and his staff treat their players for mental health and make sure that they're always in good shape. In that regard was big. And his second visit to Ohio State, they were the only people on campus. There was no time divided with any other recruit. So just got some really good intimate time with the Moores. Now coming back for the official visit, Ohio State squarely in that. And then Junior Adams, Oregon's receivers coach, he's known Corey Moore since he was in the 8th grade. He's been to Oregon 5-6 times already, sometimes with mom, sometimes without. So he's been there a ton. He originally scheduled to go last weekend, didn't go this past weekend as Oregon hosted some top targets. But there's no question that Oregon's in that. They have a lot of coaches on staff that have the Texas ties. Coach Samples, his dad's obviously the head football coach over there at Duncanville, and then Coach Will Stein and his background coming from UTSA, now having one of the most prolific offenses in college football. Oregon and Ohio State have a lot going in this recruitment for Dakorien Moore as well, and I think just saying that he could end up at Texas, you could be right, but it would be premature because I don't know who to say has the edge right now. I'm not sure Corey Moore knows. Oftentimes we can kind of figure out who maybe has the edge going into visits, knowing recruitments are fluid and stuff. But this one I think is still very fluid, and all three of these programs are in really good shape going into the official visits.
Yeah, very competitive recruitment now that he's back on the market. And now that he's back on the market, is there any other teams outside of those three that are trying to get a foot in the door with Dakorien Moore?
I don't think so. In fact, he tweeted over the weekend his recruitment is not open. So he knows who he likes. He's built a strong relationship with those coaches. His mom has built a strong rapport with those schools. There's trust at Ohio State. There's trust at Texas. There's trust at Oregon with the people and the coaches and the track record of offenses and receiver play. So now it's about getting it from 3 to 1.
Well, next season, I'm sitting here looking at the schedule. It's kind of interesting for 2025. Texas versus Ohio State in the Horseshoe to open the year. Which sideline you think Dakorien Moore will be on?
Well, if you're putting me on the spot right now, even though my intel is split on this, I would hedge on Texas right now. I think.
Yeah. That's kind of my feeling right now. But like you said, those official visits are going to weigh heavily into his decision. Speaking of, has he said when he wants to make a final decision?
Yeah, so he would like to make a decision before his senior season, but I think this is one of those recruitments that will continue to go on even after that. And LSU will try and get an official visit during the season. So maybe, right, they could come back around and be a player in this one. But he wants to make his final college decision before his senior year, go win another state championship, and then enroll early at the school of his choice. But we know games will be played, coaches will move around. There's always elements to recruitments that can keep that door cracked. And these coaches don't get these jobs by accident, man. They're very persuasive, alpha type personalities. So if you keep allowing yourself to talk to these coaches and these schools, there's always a chance for them to move the needle in their direction.
All right, you guys tap in with me. You're the recruiting experts. Where do we think Dakorien Moore is ultimately going to land? Let me know, comment section below.